I believe in finding what makes you unique and understanding that and communicating that clearly, because everybody has their story for you. And one of the things I learned to do early, I don't know where I learned that from, was to own my story and tell it. So I don't let people put their own narrative on me.
Welcome to What They Say, the podcast where creative meets digital, work meets real life, and there's always a bit of chaos. Hosted by me, EL.
And me, Jess.
Best friends, business partners, and co-founders of They Say Studios. Each episode mixes unfiltered conversation, cultural insight,
And the kind of laughter that comes from knowing that you're not the only one figuring it out.
Hi, Jess.
Hello.
How are you, my darling?
I'm good.
You look fantastic.
Do I?
Yeah?
I feel like I'm a bit tired. Like my eyes are a bit tired.
What do we do when someone
Eye
gives you a
drops.
compliment?
Thank you.
You're so welcome. You're so welcome.
Thank you.
Jess, you know where it starts.
I do.
Talk to me about your chaos for the week.
I actually have to think about my chaos because I think I
Oh,
don't.
that's a good sign.
Well, it's always a bit of chaos in our household with kids. Like they're, 2 and 4, and it's just like every day is different.
Yeah, every day is chaos.
I don't want to talk about it too much, as in don't want it to always be about them. But
If
they
that's
do.
your chaos, that's your
They
chaos.
do rock my world sometimes. So, yeah, if I've got a sleepless night, that affects all of us. Or if there's a cold or something, and
It's a full thing.
I feel like there's a chaotic sleep pattern this week, and that's maybe why I'm feeling just a bit tired. So it's not chaos as in.
Well, what I'm
woo-woo,
seeing is
but-
a very glowy gorge gal. So
Oh, thank you. That makes me feel better.
yeah, you look fantastic. And what about your calm?
My calm, actually, I had a voucher.
Tell me more.
I had a voucher to get it was like
Something beauty based.
a head massage
A milk bath,
treatment. No, it was like I don't know what it was because I didn't go for that.
right?
But that probably
It
would
was
be
not the cream bath. That's it.
like where they were doing something, but I was like, actually, I just want to get my roots done. So can I just exchange this voucher to get my roots done? They're like, yeah, that's fine. Which is a very un-Singapore thing. for
Very
them to
un-Singapore because it's
that
like computer says no every
usually
day.
it's computer says no.
Yeah.
Like you're getting you've got a voucher for this, which
That
I
is
won.
the voucher you're getting.
That's the treatment you're getting whether you like it or not. So I was
I
very
don't want
happy.
this massage. It's what you paid for.
I was very happy to get my roots done on that. And off the back of that, I'd already booked the time off work, as in booked the morning to be like, sorry, I'm out. Because, it's hard. Sometimes you can be in a hair salon, you can be on all the calls, all that. But sometimes you just can't. So I just thought easier to just be like, I'm out this morning because I'm actually made that space for myself. But then also got loads of work done because no one was messaging me. So I was like,
That's like one of them. You feel super powerful.
I feel
Then
like,
you're
I
like,
was like, I wasn't even going to do anything.
I've
for,
won.
Yeah, for like 2 hours.
Yeah.
But actually, I did loads.
you just
So
like,
that was
pow,
my
pow, pow.
calm. That I felt really like,
Love
yes.
it.
So yeah, what about yours? Do you want to start with chaos? Or do you want to start with calm?
I'll start with the chaos. The chaos was that I had some cysts removed
Oh my God, you did.
from the head, which no one will be able to see because they're very well hidden under the hair. But I had 4 cysts removed from my head.
Yeah, that's a lot.
It was a lot. I totally didn't. Me being me, went straight in. Jonathan was with me. The derm was like, okay, if you like, I can remove them now. I was like, yeah, get them all out. Jonathan was like, whoa, wow, okay. But, I'm just like, it has to happen. She's given me the option. Spanish healthcare, fantastic. And I went and I just hadn't thought it through. And she had to pull hair out and I could just see it landing. And there was like injections and it was
Did
a
they
lot.
not pre-warn you to be like, it's going to be...
No. And it's probably best they didn't. So I was in there 50 minutes and it was quite intense. Stitches, the lot. So it's been a lot and I did not feel good.
I was going to say
this
also the
week?
recovery, I think.
Yeah, it was quite brutal. And then I thought, well, actually, it's a little bit like splitting your head open, but 4 times,
Yeah.
all healing at the same time.
God, I've done that.
Yeah. But I'm
Yeah.
all right. And the results of the biopsy and thing were all negative. So all, as in like, everything was fine. So that's the main thing. But get any cysts, get them checked.
Get them checked. And also,
This is not a health podcast. We must flag that. But I think we can all agree.
if
you've
there's
got a
something
cyst,
a bit...
you should get it
something...
checked. Because this one was growing really quickly. Apparently just completely genetic, can happen. They're called pillar cysts. They're just like cysts that happen. So I've got a little one on my wrist. Sometimes you just get them, but
Really?
yeah.
What I was going to say is, though, you have to book the time not only to get them done, obviously, But there is a recovery time, I imagine.
There is. Lesson learned, you don't go back to work the same afternoon.
Yeah.
Because I did not think that through at all.
Especially when you had like anaesthetic and...
It was a lot, yeah. But no, I feel good. And my calm for the week, I went to a float tank. Have you ever done that?
I love a float tank.
Do you?
Yeah.
Have you been to the one in Singapore? What's it called?
Yes.
Palm something club. Palm
Yeah,
Float
something
Club.
about palms. Yeah.
Lovely. And they do the little tea afterwards in the books. And
I
yeah.
love them. I completely forgot they even existed.
So good. I think most people, if you have claustrophobia, do not bother. Would probably be hell on earth. But if you like the idea of floating in a dark, big egg,
naked
in water, like a big old baby in the womb, then
it's like...
then I would suggest you do it. And it's actually the 60 minutes, and I always go no music. So I can literally hear me heartbeat. It's, again, I mean, it might not be for you, but I loved it. And it's I have quite a visceral reaction to it. I feel like I'm floating through space.
That's exactly how I feel. Which is why it's so cool. Like, how do you ever... You have to relax enough to be able to,
You must.
Because if you start panicking and splashing around, it's not as relaxing.
You must.
But
yeah, babe. So I've had a lovely time.
yeah.
So that's my week.
Oh my God, I want a voucher for that next.
Fine. And you cannot trade it in for a hairdo or some more stenners.
Hint, hint, nudge, nudge. I would like it.
Okay, Nnenna. Hello.
Hello.
Today we're joined by Nnenna Onuba. Have I said that right?
You said it
Yes.
perfectly.
An M&A banker, turned beauty innovator, investor, advisor. I've probably missed some stuff out there.
It's all good. It's all good. There's a lot in there already.
After 17 years in finance, working with firms like Rothschild and PwC, you traded boardrooms for balance, or so it may seem on the outside. Found an LBB, your award-winning active wellness brand, built on the idea that life is beautiful in balance. We've talked about this a lot, actually, today. So, this is very poignant. It's built a loyal following and redefined what modern beauty looks like. Sustainable, big one, intelligent, and created for women who are balancing big lives and even bigger ambitions. Another big topic of today. Beyond beauty, though, you're also known for your leadership work, which is where I met you in your incredible platform and business 100 Allies, which I really want to spend some time focusing on today, which is all around creating accountability and action around equity and inclusion in the workplace. And it's something that we are really passionate about at They Say, and it's one of the reasons that we love working with you guys. So, Nnenna, welcome to What They Say.
Thank you. Thank you.
Can we
Exciting.
start at the beginning? So, before we go, I want to kind of connect these two worlds that don't often meet, like high finance and high purpose. It's all about this calm, soft power, credibility, and the reality of moving with quiet confidence in industries that are not often built for women and women of colour. So if you were a blurb and we were just talking about this on the back of a book, what's Nnenna? Who are you? What's the life
my
story
goodness.
so far?
Start with the early days, I think.
This is exciting. Who's Nnenna? Nnenna's just this. I still think of myself
Apart from
very
fabulous,
much.
of course.
No, I know all that. But I still think of myself as the younger me because I'm 45 now. But I came to the UK age 17, full of dreams and adventure. I got a scholarship. And it was such an exciting experience for me. And I think I was hungry for adventure and to live my fullest life. I came on a scholarship, and I think that beginning path of just luck, opportunity. I never dreamed that I would come here. It was not on my cards to come from, Nigeria and Africa to the UK and then, go through a very, I'd say, privileged path because I went to some great schools and I have, best in class education. And I think that when we come back to what I do and how I think about my work, about 7 years ago, I decided to sort of give up the whole corporate. You already mentioned it, right? I spent 14 years in investment banking. I became quite senior at Rothschild, which is one of the best houses for doing mergers and acquisitions. But I decided that actually I wanted to use more of my left brain. I wanted to explore a little bit, make space for little girl Nnenna and her dreams and adventures, and actually what the world of work looks like when it starts to fit around what matters to me. So today I work in a very portfolio fashion. I think of it like a balanced diet plate where I have a little bit of everything that makes my world of work beautiful. And 100 Allies is one small part of it, but an important part because I'd say that that's like my dessert. It makes me incredibly happy.
Love that.
It fills the plate up. But alongside that, I do many other things, and I'm sure we'll come onto it. But in a nutshell,
We will.
I'm literally right now living my work dream.
Nnenna. So on this plate, where's the spice? Where's the chili and the spice?
Oh,
God, I'm very spiritual.
Yes.
I flow it where my energy is. So of course I've got to make money, right? So my bread and butter and where the skills I've built is finance. And not just finance, but I call it now strategic growth, which is because mergers and acquisitions, which is buying and selling businesses, is the way a lot of big brands and big businesses almost supercharge growth.
Yeah.
You can just buy something that fits into your portfolio, solves a problem, etc. But even though that is very transactional, but it's part of a bigger picture, which is, as a corporate, how do I create value? How do I? And so that's really where I make my money. And along the way, I sold businesses, which is what I do. Even when I invest in businesses, I become almost a business friend, because I came into beauty and I wanted to start from the beginning, right? I could have walked into, or tried anyway. Actually, I did, but I didn't get the job. I could have walked right into a corporate role, but I kind of know where I get my confidence from. I'm very confident, but I get it from competence, right? I can't fake. I don't know
Yeah.
I don't know how
that.
to fake
Yeah.
anything. I've got to feel like I'm good at it and I can deliver. And I thought, how cool would it be to actually learn about the industry from the ground up? And that's why I launched LBB. And there is no bigger lesson. A bigger lesson. I gave all my business knowledge and background, and starting a beauty brand is a whole new kettle of fish. But I learned, and then very quickly, it evolved, and maybe we'll get into that. But I started investing, and I think as an investor, I actually found that I added more value than just being sort of the marketer or the founder of the brand, because it was much more strategic. It allowed me to use the lessons I learned, but also the network. So one of the things I'm very good at is people. I form relationships well. I'm curious about people, so it does connect. And I've continued to just parlay that into wherever it takes me. Right now, I'm starting a whole new venture that I think will come out in full force in the new year. But again, it's all born from this journey. Every step I take, I learn something. And it continues to. I don't know why people don't think about their world of work in this way, where we're continually building skills. The base finance skills I've had have been improved by being an entrepreneur. I have a much deeper understanding of that perspective. It hasn't taken away the old skills. They still exist.
It's incremental.
Exactly. And it just allows me to communicate with a wider lens of stakeholders, but also think about problems, because it's problem solving at the end of the day. And that people don't often talk about corporate finance creatively, but it is creative, right? And it gives me a bigger toolkit in my box, but it allows me to mold into different rooms, because I've gone away from being an advisor, which is where I spent majority of my career, into being an operator. I can go into businesses and say, hey guys, this is actually marketing. This is that. I don't claim to be an expert, but at least I can go much further on the thinking of the solution before you then bring in the right person in the room, if that makes sense. So I become a great generalist, if I can call it that.
We love a generalist. We've talked about this on our Instagram, actually, about the power of a generalist, because there's a need for it. I want to go back a little bit, and we're going to cover everything, about sort of credibility. And you mentioned here, what scholarship was it?
It wasn't
I don't know
personal.
much about scholarships.
It wasn't like a big scholarship you could attend. I was very fortunate in my family, extended family, and they just saw I went to a very gifted school. And it just so happened that at the time I was supposed to be going into university, there was a strike in Nigeria, and I was out of school for 2 years. And it was ridiculous, because all the schools were shut. All the schools were shut. I was supposed to go to university in Nigeria, and all the schools were shut. And there was this wonderful opportunity of a great philanthropist who was just like, look, we have a need in the UK. Our kids are going to be going there. It'd be so cool to have someone support us on this experience. If you come along with us and help us with this, we will pay for your education. And I was like, fuck yeah. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I don't know
No, we can swear.
say
We
We're
can
that.
swear.
allowed.
It
You're
was,
like, okay, let's go.
it was like a no-brainer. And that was how my entire world was
Amazing.
changed. Literally, when I say my entire world was changed, like that. I don't pretend. I came from an incredible, family. Education was important. My father, who's passed on now, I'm one of 5 kids. There are 4 girls, but he was a big believer in educating women, and that education could change outcomes, right? So I grew up in that sort of household where we're educated to like here. And
Amazing.
Knowledge
pushed
is
quite
power.
hard.
Just keep going.
Exactly,
Keep
but
going.
that's also what opened opportunities, because like literally when I came here, I went to Imperial College in London, and I still remember my benefactor, which is what I call him, and he just said, Nnenna, if you get into Imperial, I'll pay for it. Like, that simple. And I don't know if you guys know how today the fees are ridiculous, but I started at uni in 1999. And back then, I still remember my fees were 11,000 a year, just tuition. So we're not talking about
Yeah, no.
Or the
accommodation or
maintenance and
anything.
grants and
So
Yeah.
I was
No,
just
very,
like,
really adds
how
up.
fortunate is that? Incredible.
you, it's interesting that you use the word lucky a few times, and I would argue that's not luck, is it? You also had to be the person you are.
But there is luck in it. Even when you think about the family you're born into is luck, right? Because it's all of those. And that's what I say. Of course. I think one of the expressions I like is success is where preparation meets opportunity. You've got to do your own bit. But to sit here and say, oh, I manufacture, I was lucky. That opportunity may never have come. It didn't happen to lots of people. So it was great. Of course, it happened because it was, I believe,
You've done the right things.
I'm
but
ordained as well.
yeah.
I'm African. We have a lot of Uru. I was speaking to my mum's sister recently, and we're talking about this whole luck concept. And she was like, I'm Igbo. I don't know if you've ever read any Chimamanda books, Half a Yellow
No.
Sun, or any of. Okay, she writes a lot about
But
that
please
culture.
send us some, because we're starting a Baby Boo Club, which we talked about on the last one.
She's an incredible author. If you look her up, and also a great feminist. She was quoted in Beyonce's songs and many others, and Michelle Obama. Lots of people have quoted her, but that's not the point of the story. In Igbo culture, it's believed that when a child is born, a child's future is already mapped out. It's preordained. And so there's very little. Of course, you have to walk the walk, go on the path, but it's ordained. So what is in your cards is yours. And that mindset stays with me. So I tend not to, you'll see this. Of course, I get stressy about things, but I tend not to sweat a lot of small stuff. And also, I'm a very cup half full. I really believe in abundance. I think what's mine is mine. And so I can celebrate others. I can plant seeds that expand instead of thinking of this zero-sum game that just annoys the hell out of me. But I've also importantly experienced a lot of luck in my own life that makes me realize that karma is real. So
I love that. I'm very
put it
spiritual
out.
too, so anything like this. One thing that I wanted to touch about was
Absolutely.
was credibility, because obviously you talk about the spirituality, and within that is masculine and feminine energy, right? And I would imagine, and I want you to correct me if I'm wrong, because that's what this conversation is for. I would imagine that being in Rothschild and the big sort of corporate banking situations, that it's heavily male dominated, or was at the time, if not still is. Is that a fair assumption?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
There's very few women in.
So with that in mind, bringing you in, how did you build credibility in this space? And I think a bit of context to give you, Nnenna, as you answer that question, is listening to this podcast, and our key audience is women, entrepreneurs, or want to be entrepreneurs, or really senior women that are already in a great career, but are like, what next?
It's always easy after things have happened for you to tell a nice story of how it
hindsight
happened.
is a
right?
wonderful thing.
Exactly. And the reality is, I needed to feel my way through. So, like I said, from day dot, I've been ambitious. I grew up in a household where I was drilled into me that I could have anything I wanted. I went to a school that continued to affirm that. So I didn't grow up here in the UK. I grew up in Nigeria until 17, where a lot of people looked like me. So I had a very strong sense of self and belonging. So coming to the UK, I really came in with that sort of mindset. At Rothschild, PwC, it was a no-brainer. I was one of, in fact, I think at the time I was there, I was the only woman of color in a front office role when I started. It didn't, by the time I moved through, I was at Rothschild. I was at PwC for 4 years, Rothschild for 10. And by the time I got through, me, lots of people, the gate was wider. So lots came in. However, what helped me to thrive, and I would say is I believe in finding what makes you unique and understanding that and communicating that clearly, because everybody has their story for you. And one of the things I learned to do early, I don't know where I learned that from, was to own my story and tell it. So I don't let people put their own narrative on me. So that was
I
first.
love that.
The second
It's yours to tell.
was in the across difference. I was different, but I think, again, that's why I told the story of where I grew up. I came here knowing I was different. So that wasn't an issue for me when somebody would touch my hair or whatever. I was like, yeah, of course. I'm Nigerian. There's so much about my culture you don't understand. In the same way, I was like a sponge. I want to understand yours. And the privilege of not having, grown up as a child who was bullied or, almost as a minority, you were reminded constantly was a privilege. And now I understand that I had, that allowed me to, I would say, navigate those rooms a little, because I was just easier to get on with, whether you like it or not. I was just more likable. And the other thing I would say is, as I'm really like a yes person, in my junior years, I just put my hands up for like everything. However, as I started to progress, right? Growth. You're looking for growth. Where's it going to come from? And this is where the masculine versus feminine angle started to come through. I was like, this is interesting. As a person, I believe in kindness. I believe in listening to people. I'm, again, all of those feminine leadership, like team cohesion, etc. And that wasn't the, I would say, ethos. It was very much get shit done. Like it was very much more. It's a very ambitious space, and there's nothing wrong with that. But there was less of that, so I had to, in some way, navigate that and also teach, I think, those sectors, but it wasn't what was valued in the same way. And that's actually one of the things that made me almost seek another path, because I was like, it's great. Having done it for almost 14 years, I think I'd proven a lot about who I am, what I can do, etc. But I also got lucky, because it was in this looking for my path of where am I going to rise in this organization that I became an entrepreneur. I realized that I worked in sort of infrastructure asset classes. So I sold lots of toll roads. I've sold renewable energy plants in Africa. I sold real estate assets, King's Cross, Canary Wharf, for all projects that I was heavily involved in. However, what I realized was, look, what is uniquely mine? Back to that thing I said. And I said, I'm Nigerian American. Not many people are that. Mm-hmm. And at the time, I noticed that there was a lot of capital being raised in London, actually, because London's very central in that way, to invest on the continent. And that was when I started scouting. If you don't mind, I'm going to share the story. Tell me if I'm talking too much. And I started to scout, and I realized that actually in the firm that we were doing a lot of work, but it was random. Nobody had organized or joined the dots. And I managed to position myself as the specialist on all of these projects. And that's how I made the case. And I made the case to Exco, like any other founder who's pitching on this is a total addressable market,
this is my
blah,
pitch.
blah, blah, literally. And I was allowed to go off. And so one of the most entrepreneurial things I did was actually open up Rothschild in sub-Saharan Africa, outside of South Africa, where we already had a business. But that's also where I learned something that I think was very important to making the move. I suddenly realized that of course, it's so important, and I don't take it for granted having big brands behind you, right? Because that's how the world and society digests. Who are you? Are you good? Are you? Where do I place you on the thing? So it's important. However, when I was out doing all of that work, I realized that I'm the asset. It gave me the kind of, in terms of building relationships, opening up opportunities, and actually advancing conversations. But it allowed me to also see a different world where I on innovation, and I was like, wow, this is way more exciting for me in terms of where I want to be. I don't know if you guys are familiar with I'm more of a challenger, a disruptor. I'm not a status quo acceptor. It's like, why is it like this? Can it be better? Can it work?
You want to kind of pull it apart and rebuild it a bit.
That's mine. But that's also why entrepreneurship, I think, works well for me. But that was almost the first taster of, okay, this is fun, but what can I do with this? And I came into beauty because you guys might not know this, but whilst I was at university, age 19, one of my Saturday jobs, or rather my Saturday job was as a boots girl on the retail shop floor.
Love it.
I earned £50, spent it all before I left the school. So it wasn't my math and money management got better, but I still remember to this day.
Girl math, Nnenna.
I know, right?
Discount on concealer, it's going to be mine.
It's all right. There's a really great staff discount. But that was... It was almost I allowed myself, and I'll take a break because I can give you my life story here. But I allowed myself, but also because I'd also built savings and margins and like cushion to allow myself go on this next journey and chapter I'm on, which is what does my work life of my dreams, because I'm someone who will always work. It's just, I can't stop that. And so I just want to work on stuff I love.
I can confess to that. That is, sometimes, I don't know where I'm going to find Nnenna or who she'll be with or where she'll be host a panel but you've got your fingers in a lot of pies.
I think as well, just from your stories, you've always had, from what it sounds, you had a sense of clarity in yourself and your strengths and what your differences or your superpower in a way, so you could lean into that.
Yeah, I would say that's come over time. Yeah. I'm very analytic, so I go back and I look for patterns and things, and so that curiosity, I realize, is actually the superpower, and that's what revealed to me that actually the biggest strength, and I say this repeatedly when I counsel, mentor, or talk to people, it's like I think the biggest strength you have is knowing who you are.
Yeah.
Because that's the only way you can start to actually tackle a world, especially if it wasn't built for you, which is what we find increasingly if you're an ambitious woman and you're trying to chart your own path. Yeah. And if you understand who you are, at least you can own that bit. And that's confidence, actually, I think. Yes. And it's so important.
And do you feel a responsibility in sort of sharing that? And, when you're mentoring?
I share what helps me. Let's put it that way. I don't know about the responsibility bit, but I share what helps me.
Yeah. Yes. We're having these conversations helps, doesn't it? Because it's even if someone can hear something that they can relate to or resonates with them, they go, oh, hang on a minute. Yeah, this, maybe I could do it too.
From Emanate to Modern Beauty, Nnenna, you've sort of touched on this beautiful, well, sounds like a transition, but actually there's the boots girl at heart that was there spending her Saturday wages in, probably Bobby Brown and whatnot.
Ruby and Millie.
Ruby and Millie.
So crazy.
Yeah, I remember that.
That's crazy.
They're not around now, are they?
No, they're done. But what is funny is 19-year-old me, because this is one of the first sort of affordable but also inclusive brands that existed back then. And today I sit on the board of the British Beauty Council with Millie. And
with
she
Millie,
is one half of Ruby and Millie. And I tell her, I was like, my goodness. Like
full circle moment.
I was like, the 19-year-old me is like, baller.
Yeah, you do have a powerful CV. Do you sit on several boards, right?
Oh, yes, I do.
Can you talk about them all?
Yeah, it's not many. So British Beauty Council, I'm like a company's house director on there. I also do work with the Royal Veterinary College. It's a university for vets, and it's incredible. And Cheltenham Ladies college. It's a girls' independent school. But again, it's things I care about because these are all non-profits, right? So beauty is a no-brainer. It's where I live and work. Pets, so I'm very passionate about supporting the vulnerable. I don't know why. And animal care is important. And, again, young girls. So there really is a pattern to everything I
love
do.
that.
In your life, building LBB, how do you, how do you navigate?
LBB has evolved. I now think of how I work actually as a studio, but how do I navigate? Oh, honestly, I can't say it enough. Understanding me. I know I've heard lots of balance. When I say understanding me, lots of people talk about time management, etc. One of my beliefs is energy, right? Because I'm really an energy person. If I'm drained, there's nothing else to
got nothing
pour
to
out
give.
of. So I
Yeah.
become almost like really, really, really observant about where I get energy from and what drains it. So it was actually a practice that I would say I doubled down on during COVID, because during COVID, I became a lot more intentional and observing. Like I had notes, like I think I did this experiment for about 2 weeks where I was like, okay, I'm going to watch every conversation, every interaction I have in this period and record it. Like it was literally just a smiley face, like series of smiley faces in my notebook of what does this do? Up, down. And I started to see patterns. But so you talk about balance. And what I realized is, that's why I talked about my work like a balance. Of course, the stuff that pays me, I prioritize, right? I wanna live a great life. However, I put other things that I need, and when I'm tired. So I'll give you an example. Thursday was a good example this week. I'd worked Saturday, most of Sunday, and by the time I got to Thursday, I was depleted. I was so tired. I was so tired, and I was like, okay, one of the deals I made in this whole portfolio career thing is that I can take time off if I need to. And I sent a message to my girlfriend and said, today is a no work day. Can we please go and see some art and have lunch and catch up? I haven't spoken to you in ages. And that was how I spent the day. And I came back home and
I
it
mean,
was
is
a
that
bath all
not-
day and like literally no work. No work that day. So when you talk about balance, it's I watch her. I try not to get to that point where I'm completely
Yeah.
at the
What
bottom
a
of it.
fantastic takeaway. What I'm getting from that, Nnenna, is like what I love is simple, actionable things. And that is something that I can genuinely see myself doing, just little smiley face or like, whichever one works for whatever meetings you've got in the week, and being able to walk away. And we talk often about the power of working for yourself, and it's flipping hard, but
I
going to
think
see
I
art
think
and-
having that self-awareness as well, that actually people talk about your social battery going down, but you don't necessarily talk about your work battery going down. And actually you can overdo it. And
Course
sometimes
you
you do
can.
need the chance where you're just looking around a gallery. I did it yesterday, just before,
Yeah, she just went
before
to
you
the-
came. I was
the
like,
National
I've got
Portrait
15 minutes.
Gallery.
I'm just going to get some culture, and just was like, oh, I instantly felt better, because, you need something else sometimes. It can't all be go, go, go. And it might be that, you know that you work better in the evenings, or you work better in the mornings. Do you balance your day in that, or organize your day in that sense as well?
This is why I'm going to come back to it. I think more people need to spend time intentionally actually looking for the patterns in their own lives. What I described with that, I started to see, I was like, okay, when I speak to this person, I always feel really down. That it's like, whoa, tops up my battery. There's some things I know, right? So I call myself a high functioning introvert. Lots of people see me. I'm full of, most times actually, I'm the one who energizes rooms. I have a lot of energy, and I'm passionate, and I'm friendly, and I'm whatever. I mean, you can see me on a different day when I'm like running low. It's just the same
I've
person.
never seen that yet.
But I recharge, before putting myself out again. But I think that ability of knowing, because then you can start to be more intentional in how you're designing. So when you talk about this balance thing, rather than it being something that happens to you, of course, we don't control everything that happens to us, right? So you've still got to build resilience, adaptability, all of that stuff, because shit will happen. But I think it just allows you to be a little bit more. So I can, for example, my spidey senses tingle when it's like, oh, this is a boundary moment. No, I'm not. This is definitely a no to this one.
Yeah.
And you see what I mean? But those are the ways that you conserve and manage energy. And sometimes, whether you like it or not, right? You need to give energy to things, right? If you have a big project and an important client is paying you, you'll stretch to meet that. I'm not a mother, so I can't talk about those dynamics, but I imagine if you are, there are times when you've got to be there for that and you juggle whatever to make it work.
You're surviving by the end, but you just got to put it all in, because you can't go, today's not the day, darling.
But this is why I say life is beautiful in balance, but everyone defines their own version of balance. So I don't know. I've not found any. I'm a unique person. We all are unique. I can't retrofit somebody's approach to mine. I borrow ideas. That's why we have, podcasts like this where people share what works for them. And then you sort of take a little bit, you test and, tweak it around and then keep going. But it's just like, you have to chart your own path, but you won't know if you don't start looking.
I wanted to, a really important one, and I've struggled with this personally, Nnenna, in my career and moving into having my own business is money mindset. Money mindset feels impossible sometimes. I'm now much better at it. I understand it. Money flows. It's an energy. I'm much better at it now, and I'm more of an abundant thinker. But what does money mean to you? What does money mean to you?
Money is stability. Money is freedom to me. The ability to choose what I want to do. And it's so important because actually when we talked about this transition, it didn't just happen. I chose it. It was very intentional. And to this day, people laugh. It's like, I've had offers made for a salaried job. And I was like, I'll be completely honest. I'm not looking for a salary right now. I came in here looking for financial freedom. And financial freedom is the ability to make the choice I want to, because whether you like it or not, having money allows you to.
We actually got sent a few questions in about our podcast. And one of the things that came when we mentioned you was, how do you, or do you have a view on how to deal with the panic of moving away from a full-time job, secure salary, tickety-boo for the last maybe 10, 15 years, and wanting to go out on your own, wanting to start something that you believe in, and you maybe aren't an investment banker with a big, what would you say to them?
I'm there right now. I'm honestly, because when you don't have a big nest egg, I think that's what you're asking. Where do you start? How do you solve for it?
And how do you step away from the
safety of
continuity of a safe income?
I think lots of people romanticize entrepreneurship. Entrepreneurship is tough. All work is tough. I keep saying, like, whatever, unless you have a trust fund and you're just doing it casually because someone else is footing your bills. But if you're working to make ends meet, to, have your own lifestyle, all work is difficult. You just have to choose your one that you at least, this is what I believe about passion, right? Passion gets you through the incredibly tough times, and you wake up and you're like, all right, at least I love this work. That's why I'm still doing it. You know what I mean? However, I often counsel people, and I was like, because I meet lots of people who are at a crossroads, and I was just like, look, entrepreneurship is risky. For most, the cash flow does this. Very few people are able to design something that's like almost like a perfect annuity that comes regularly. And so I was like, look, if you're ready for this journey and you're going in with your eyes open, you've spoken to people who are already on this path, or if it's completely new, you have to have some security to do it. Otherwise, if you have none, if you need to put food on your table and you have no security, that's madness, because the stress is going to kill you. Entrepreneurship requires creativity. Creativity only happens when you, entrepreneur, feel well. And financial security is critical. So for that, I say side hustle that dream first and test it, because so many things are assumptions. Look at my own journey, right? I came in with this brand, beautifully designed, great. Everything should have worked. And then COVID happened. It's an on-the-go brand. It was supposed to live, with busy lifestyles away from your bathroom. And then COVID happened. All of the business planning, financial modeling, all of that ish did not matter like that. I couldn't have predicted it, but you have to adapt, right? So coming back to, so I keep saying, however, even before I launched it, I still have a friend to this day, and I laugh. And he turned around to me. He was like, oh, Nnenna, you're making a big leap, It's like, why don't you just curate some of these things that work? There are products out there. Test it for a bit first and see what sticks, and see how you also are as an entrepreneur. How good are you at selling? How good are you at before making this big jump? And I still remember at the time, I was like, oh, dude, I want to do this. My product is right. And
I'm not listening.
And I didn't listen to him. And it's so funny because today, when I talk to lots of people, I say the same thing he said to me, to them. Like, same thing.
Maybe it was quite good advice.
But I say to entrepreneurs all the time, it's like, most entrepreneurs aren't lacking advice. It's like there's advice coming out of the wazoo. Your wazoo, right? It's more, but you have to make a choice. And that's why entrepreneurship is also, it's not, there are lots of things that people are fixing, right? So in my case, I needed a new adventure. I just lost my dad. I was at this crossroads. I needed to go on that journey. I was grieving. So I needed to do something else and immerse myself in a different, I didn't know it desperately at that point in time. That's not how I was thinking about it, because I was going into it and this was going to make me, I don't know, who's the woman? Tiffany Masterson of Drunk Elephant. That was one of the stories. I was like, damn, maybe women come in and become millionaires in like 7 years. So
if anyone hasn't listened to that podcast, they should.
But there you go. But that's what I learned, right, on that journey. And so if you don't have that nest egg, or if you're, and this is the other bit, so I also meet lots of people who corporate let them down, a terrible manager, or they were bullied or something. And there's a little bit of heartbreak and almost PTSD that they're dealing with. And that's the thing that's pushing them into entrepreneurship, as opposed to a love for entrepreneurship. And I say, look, you're going to have to face your demons, go get counseling, whatever, find a different, at least name what it is that you don't like, and then go and find something more secure that at least deals with that, because entrepreneurship is not the solution if you need that stability.
I'm smiling because it is literally what happened to me. So I had a really traumatic experience with a job, and it was the push for me to want to go to put they say full time. But I actually did a lot of therapy and coaching for 6 months before I left said job, because I thought I need to make sure before I take this leap and give up everything that, like, A, that this is a good idea, and B, that I'm going to love it. And there's days when we wake up and I'm like, Jess, yesterday was brutal. And I'm like, oh my God, it was so hard. And I'm just, but I love it. And we can't get enough of it. And I think at the minute that we're riding that wave, but that is such sound and good advice. And I probably still took too much of a risk, to be honest. Touch wood, thankfully, it worked out. But I think getting that coaching or therapy after a really traumatic work experience is essential.
And I think it's affected everything, how you work daily moving forward. Like, you've got that in your, you've got that experience and learnings in your mind at the forefront still,
Oh, I learned so much from coaching and therapy that I bring forward into work now. Yeah. So much. Emma Vincent, we talk about her all the time. I really want to touch on because I want to finish this bit about 100 Allies. Well, I want to start it before we finish is what I mean. 100 Allies, it's actually how we met. So Nnenna and I met because we have a friend in common, a colleague, a person in common called Ali, who's fabulous. And I was out for drinks with Ali in Little House Mayfair, and she was like, what are you up to today? And I said, I really just want to do something in they say, but outside of it as well, that's really about like just helping people. And I said, I've noticed that 100 Allies and Nnenna's gig, and I just really want to get involved. And she was super honest with me, and she was like, yeah, look, like, skill set wise, absolutely, Nnenna will want your help, but like, you've got to be able to help, because if you're just going to say you want to help and then you're never available and can't do anything. And she was like quite honest with me, and I said, no, like, I'll make myself available. And then I met Nnenna, and I straight away just loved your energy, and you were so inspiring. And the story of 100 Allies, which I want you to tell, not me, is so bloody great that I was like, what do you need me to do? Like, how can I help? And we're scrappy and we all jump in, but we get shit done, and you're building this amazing thing. And I know it's a baby part of your pie, but it's still a part of your pie.
It's an important part of my pie.
Would you talk, particularly because of the audience that are going to be watching this, I think it is a really important piece of the puzzle to Nnenna Onuba and who you are today. Could you talk through why you created it and what really what are you trying to build? What are you trying to say with 100 Allies as the vehicle?
Our base mission is to change the face and the faces of the boardroom. And that is opening up access to opportunity however we can. And that's why I said the mission is important. So we want to lift everyone to leadership. If you're ambitious and you're building something, and I use careers, and careers aren't just in big corporates. Careers are big corporates, they're entrepreneurs, but increasingly actually a very big group that we're seeing is people who are building these fractional self-employed careers. And what I found in our sector is there was actually no first organization that put inclusion at its heart. So what differentiates 100 Allies from any other organization, and we've had to get here, is this approach to radical inclusion. Radical inclusion. Anyone, whatever, wherever you are in your career, however it looks, professional, entrepreneur, everyone's always trying to carve things. And I was like, when you carve it, you actually miss people on the edges, on the margins. So we want something that anyone, however you can come to us. And we're not big, but at least you can get some support that moves you forward in some way. It's like baseline important support. But here's what's interesting. And so this radical inclusion, anyone can come. However, through curation, careful curation of the experts that we bring into our community, we solve an important, of course, underrepresentation. We have all the data, right? Beauty is, in fact, this was one of the important data points that got me thinking, why is nobody else talking about this, right? This is a category. Beauty in the UK is worth 30.4 billion. This is from the Value of Beauty report, British Beauty Council. Go check it out. It's
of which Nnenna spends
incredible.
30 billion.
You know, I contribute my own bit in multiple ways. But it's predominantly powered by women. Yep. I think it's 80% are 80% workforce, 86% entrepreneurs. Yet when you look at the top of the pie, the leadership, the boardrooms, who gets to build big businesses that exit, the numbers fall off. There was research that showed at the start of this, it's about to get updated, but in the top 20 largest organizations, there was only 17%, 3 female CEOs, 3 chairs, and 4 CFOs. And I was like, hang on, the base is 86%. And I was like, this is ridiculous for a category where the economy is women. I was like, this is like, that gap is just stupid. And so that was almost the start of the fuel. I was like, I'm sorry, there is more we can do to ensure that we are supporting where it breaks, right? So that at least we see more people coming through the pie. And that's where it started. But it's been a little bit of a journey to find what lever actually moves or shifts the needle. And it's the 100 Allies journey is incredible. Our hero product that has stuck is this clinic model. It's very, very simple. From the last 2 clinics that we did, I haven't collated the data on the third one, but we are 76 to, I think it's about 86 as well, % female led are the people who come to our organization, but also 46 to 64. These are the numbers from like Clinic 1, Clinic 2, minority on attendees. And I was like, but look at this. I use this as a case study for organizations to think actually more creatively about how they promote diversity and inclusion. We created a space where anyone can come in. We didn't go out saying we're solving for Black women or brown women or red women or whatever. We just said anyone's coming. We've curated very carefully who is in the mix and who's, but also how people feel when they come in to our clinics. I'm so intentional about just removing all of the nonsense hierarchy. We've created such an incredible atmosphere where you can come with anything, no question, is off taboo. So lots of people, I say it's where growth gets personal. People come in and ask honest questions, and many people we meet them at a point where their confidence is broken, and the ability to just sit there and talk to someone who you trust their advice, but also they have an ability to move the needle. I'm going to give you this final story of just a full circle 100 allies moment. Before I came over here, I went to an event actually run by one of our mentors, Donadia. It's called Beauty Beads. And I bumped into a woman there, and I was like, you're familiar? And she was like, yes, I've been to the clinics 1 and 2. And I was like, great. And I was like, of course I remember you, because we create bios for everyone who comes in. So you have the expert CVs, you can see it on our website, but everyone who comes in, no one sees that, gets their own. We present everyone in grace, right? We tell the story of who you are, but we also let the experts know what you want to talk about. And this woman had been made redundant from her organization. And I think she came to us at the time. I think she even wrote down, I'm thinking of starting a brand, And she came, she was like, I got a gig. I've just been made senior something of the Body Shop. But let me tell you the beautiful bit. It was one of our expert mentors from Series 1 who hooked her up.
That's actually so sweet.
Excited. But what's
so
beautiful,
that is full circle. That's exactly what it was designed to do.
I hear these stories and I talk about it creating ripples, right? Because I'm not going to sit here and can't collect how much. Of course, there are some I repeat because I've heard them. But this was, I didn't go looking for it. It was just a woman I bumped into in an event outside.
You were meant to say that today.
And like literally she made me like tear up on the spot. I sent a text to the mentor, because all of these things are happening all the time.
Of course they are.
Time.
And they're happening.
We have connected 350 people since February. 350 connections made with elite, like experts. It's incredible.
Yeah, these are like
incredible.
There will be information below for people to have a look at 100 Allies, but you'll see the caliber of people on there, of advisors, and it's really amazing. And you get access to real, true, heartfelt advice full of humility. It's not, I love getting the pictures through the next day after the clinics. I don't live in the UK, so I've not actually been to them in person, but I'm going to make a point of getting to one physically in 26. But I love getting the photos the next day because it's just it looks jolly. Everyone is just there smiling, laughing, learning, interested. Like, it's so powerful. You should be so proud of yourself. I feel very fortunate to be working with you on it.
I genuinely am. It's not what we set out to do. It's not what I thought. But this clinic, it only happened a couple of weeks ago. And it was at L'Oreal and L'Oreal's big, beautiful offices. And it was the third of these. And I have to say, it was, first of all, the first time that I think I spoke in front of the room without any imposter syndrome. Lots of people was like, oh, you speak so well. And I was like, I don't know about that. Coming up, I was the one who would literally, like, my heart beats. It's almost like something transformed in me when I had to appear on a stage. It doesn't happen anymore.
You're nailing it now, Nnenna.
But again, to give hope to anyone who's sitting and thinking, oh my God, how do they do it? You can learn it. You can learn it.
Of course you can.
You can
if
learn it.
If you go to the clinics, you can learn it.
No. For me, it's like working out. Repetition builds the muscle. You have to put yourself out of your comfort zone and go into it. And that's actually what entrepreneurship, having my own brand, taught me. Because it's like, damn, I gotta go and sell shit. So, get over yourself and go do that. But no, it's so. Clinic 3 was brilliant. The feedback, we only had, I think, just shy of 100 people, and I've counted the reposts that were happening like a week. Over at least half of them shared the experience on, and I was like, who else has that in terms of
like
UGC
50% of your attendees,
people who attend, and they were saying the best, the most wonderful things. I mean, look her up. She's the chief growth officer of L'Oreal. She gave the keynotes, but it was just a wonderful, wonderful environment in there. It's so nurturing. It's so supportive. Everyone who leaves gets something out of it, and I think that's what makes it work. Actually, it's incredible.
Nnenna,
that's why it's your dessert. That's the delicious.
That's why
bit.
it's the dessert.
Incredible.
Right, Nnenna. It's time for one of our favourite parts of the show. It's called They Say, We Say. Okay, so it's where we take the cliches, the myths, the mantras around money, leadership, power, and see what actually holds up in real life. It's a quick fire round. There's about 6-7 questions and it's quick answers. So quick
Aye,
question,
aye, aye.
quick
Good luck
answer.
getting that out of me.
Sam, we can do it. Right, are you going to start, Jess?
Yeah, I'll start. They say success speaks for itself. What do you say?
They say success speaks for itself. I guess so. I don't say that one, but I say excellence isn't hidden for long. So it's my version.
Even better than what they say.
Change it. They say trust is built, not asked for. What do you say?
1,000% trust is earned. Trust is earned. 100% agree with that.
They say balance is impossible.
Aye, aye, aye. I think balance is yours to create. It's so personal. It's not one cookie size cutter fit for everyone, but it's work in progress. You've got to be trying.
We've got to be doing a
We
work
got to be trying.
Yeah.
Nnenna, they say soft skills don't build hard power. What do you say?
I think that's bullshit, actually, because feminine power, this is something I'm incredibly passionate about. The world over indexes on male leadership qualities, and actually a lot of what the world calls soft but important in leadership are the female skills, and they're critical. I would love, if the world works out for me, I would love to see the future of work where more of those skills are par for par with hard skills, because it's so needed, and especially as the world is evolving right now with, technology, not even knowledge is disintermediated, right? We all have ChatGPT. Everyone knows something or is an expert in something. And so the ability to listen, the ability to nurture, the ability to empower people, I think those skills are going to be increasingly more important as the world evolves. But I don't know, that was a quick
Love
answer.
that.
But
No, that was a
hey-ho.
brilliant answer and literally couldn't agree
Let's
more.
continue.
They say you can't lead with empathy in business.
Bullshit.
That's why I
Everything
left
I just
it there. So I was
said.
like, I think we can follow on.
I think we can dovetail lovely there. It's got to be one of the most important things.
Of course.
But has anyone ever disagreed with that? Has anyone had a different view?
Not as in not today, but there will be absolutely people that have a different view to that.
There's empathy. Empathy is a word I use a lot. Please just allow me to say this. As someone who I work with in beauty, lots of entrepreneurs are looking for capital, to build their brands, to realize their dreams, etc., etc. Majority of people I meet are not ready for capital. Their businesses aren't ready or in a shape where capital can flow into it. And so I often talk about having empathy for the journey, the experience, because I understand. I've been a founder who's had a brand, and it's like, God, please, if someone would just chuck lots of money in here, we will make it all work.
It'll make it
You
all
know what
better.
I mean?
Just a couple of mil, just pop it in.
So, but I can talk to founders and say I have empathy for the situation. It's because I have empathy for it that I created 100 Allies as at least a space where you go in. But it doesn't change the fact that investors are businesses. They need their return, right? And they need to go to places in a climate where it's getting harder and harder to get capital. The cost of capital is increasing. The bar that they have to meet on their end is rising. So they go towards what is more predictable, rightly or wrongly. So I have empathy for both sides.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean, though, that when I say to someone, and I also invest, right? I can't put money in you because I need to know it's going to come out. Got to do a little bit more work. And again, it's unfortunate because those rules don't apply to everybody, right? So some people have, when we talk about the first investors in your business are friend and family. In the underrepresented or lower socioeconomic classes, that pool of friends and family is non-existent. So where's it going to come from? How am I going to start and realize this ambition? I have a lot of empathy for that, but it doesn't change the rules, which is how the world
reality
is
of it.
built. It's unfortunate.
Nnenna, you are a fountain of knowledge. We are going to steal you for one last bit, which is the last brief. So before we let you go to building businesses and running mentoring sessions and leaders and reminding us that balance is power, for whatever your balance is, because I think that's a really important point that we've took away from today is you got to find what that is for you. But it's time for the last brief. So this one isn't about what you do, but why you do it.
So if you could take one last brief in your life, a brand, cause or mission that captures everything that you've learned about leadership and building with purpose, what would that be?
Oh my God, it's absolutely the work I'm doing for 100 Allies is in my dream. You know, there's a through connection line with talent, access to capital, and there's another bit that I'm missing right now. But those pieces allowing anyone who has ambition to be able to find their path to make it work is the brief I'm actually working on right now, because I think we're missing at a base level some systems and systems that at least make that possible, that exists in sectors like tech, for example, and other places, but we don't have here because we don't have a startup ecosystem where capital can flow in, even when it's still risky and dodgy and in that way. And that's what 100 Allies is the first part of it. The second part of it is evolving as we speak. But this would be my final brief is let's build that missing infrastructure that allows the whole wealth. And there's a lot of talent. There's a lot of innovation. It's also what is driving the category. You know, 6-7% of growth over the last decade in our category has come from new disruptors who are coming. They're closer to the trend. They build community. They move speedily in a way that the majors don't. But it's significantly undercapitalized, and also under distributed. And so I think those things will really unlock some of the bottleneck that I think would really expand the category. That's my hope, and that's what I'm working towards.
What a beautiful
Amazing.
finish. And for anyone that wants to get involved in 100 Allies, I think it's definitely worth. We'll put some information out, and you can get some information about the amazing accelerator clinics. When's the next one, Nnenna?
Hasn't been planned yet, but we move very fast. The last clinic was, every clinic we've done is sold out in under 48 hours. The one before sold out in 24 hours. Just join our wait list. We typically give like a day or two before we open it up, just to let people know it's coming, and then just sign up.
Yeah, I usually get a note from Nnenna, EL, we need to get going with the CRM stuff. Yep, on it, let's go. Nnenna.
It works because we have amazing people. I keep saying we have a stealth team. We are small, but we move fast.
Small but mighty. And it's amazing. And we'll definitely be at the next one. And look, thank you for your insight and for your incredible grace, Nnenna.
No,
and for showing
thank you for having me. I enjoyed this chat so much.
What real mastery is like. I feel like I could just listen for hours.
Really?
Yeah, I feel like you've kind of injected me with some sort of like, I'm like hooked. But if you've enjoyed being part of this conversation, follow They Say Studios on Instagram, LinkedIn and TikTok and tell us what you say. We love hearing your take.
And don't forget to subscribe from wherever you're listening or watching. There's plenty more to come.
See you next time. Bye-bye.